Hello and welcome to the State of Yachting 2023 live stream. SuperYacht Times has been providing industry professionals and those in the know with market intelligence for years now via our SYT IQ data system. Today, Ralph Dazzert, our Head of Intelligence, will be walking you through our recent market report, the State of Yachting 2023. It would be great if you could download this right now for free at the link in our description box and of course online at superyachttimes.com. For those of you who would like to also submit some questions via our social media channels, please do them right now. We'll get back to you after this very short break.
Thank you, Emma, for the introduction. As Emma said, I'm the Head of Intelligence at SuperYacht Times. I lead the intelligence team, and my team is constantly updating our SuperYacht database. And this database powers superyachttimes.com and SYT IQ, our market intelligence system for industry professionals. In fact, the statistics of the State of Yachting 2023 are drawn from SYT IQ. Now, the State of Yachting 2023 looks back on last year's market by looking at the data and what conclusions we can draw from that. But of course, we also take a look ahead at what we can expect for this year and next year. So here we go. We have some brief highlights from the new report. As a reminder, if you would like to download the report right now, you can already do so by clicking at the link in the bottom of the page. And we would also love to receive your questions, as I will be taking those at the end of my presentation. So there we go. This is a brief overview of the current superyacht fleet over 30 meters. We are, since the beginning of this year, we are at over 5,500 superyachts in service over 30 meters. Around 850 of those are sailing yachts, so that's about 15%, and the other 85% are motor yachts. And well, as you can see, the fleet has grown enormously over the past 35 years, over 5 times in fact. And the growth comes almost exclusively from motor yachts. That's the dark blue line, and then the red line shows the total of both motor and sailing yachts. And the average age of a superyacht is about 23 years. And that makes sense, as that was around 2000 when the explosion in the growth of the superyacht fleet really started. Since about 2012, 2013, growth has slowed down a little bit as we came out of the ordering boom before the global financial crisis. Since the last 10 years, we are on about 3% growth per year, so steady trajectory. Now, the existing fleet, that's all very well, but of course what many industry professionals are interested in is what's in build, what's coming up. The construction book, as we call that, by which we mean all yachts in construction, regardless of whether they are sold or still available for sale. So at the start of this year we counted 668 yachts, of which 49 were sailing yachts. So the number of sailing yachts in build is gradually going up again, so that is good news for that industry. What you will also notice that well, there was a huge jump in the amount of yachts in build from 2021 to 2022, because that was of the ordering boom during 2021. But over last year, the order book still, the construction book, excuse me, still grew by another 10%. So last year was still a strong year for new yacht starts and new yacht sales. And yeah, on the right hand, you just see some averages of what is currently built. It's fairly large. Now, if we drill down into the size of the yachts in build, that gives us an interesting idea of where the market is going. So around 44% of what is in build is between 30 and 40 meters. And that is in fact a lower share than what we find in the already operating fleet. There it's around 60%. So what this means is that the newer yachts being built, the share of larger yachts over 40 meters is larger there than the operating fleet. So we're gradually moving towards a bit larger yachts. And the pattern is a bit the same as it was 5 years ago, the spread across the different segments. The only thing is that you see that the large segment over 80 meters plus, the mega yachts, as they are sometimes labeled, not a word that we use, but it is used sometimes in the media. So that segment is quite stable in the amount of yachts in build, as that is a very specialist industry with a relatively limited number of shipyards that can handle those projects. Now, another interesting way to look at the yachts in build is by dividing them by the country where they are being built. In terms of the number of yachts, that's the graph on the left, you see that the Italians are leading by far, and they have done so many years. While the Netherlands and Turkey also have significant amounts of yachts in build. But if we look at the average size of the yachts being built, the Germans lead by far. And the average German project is over 100 meters long, and its gross tonnage, that is a measure of the interior volume, is over 4,700 gross tons. And then the Netherlands again occupy kind of a middle ground with fairly large sized yachts of around 65 meters and close to 1,500 gross tons, while the Italians specialize more in slightly smaller yachts, although for your idea, a yacht indeed below 500 gross tons, that is still in the 40 to 50 meter range, as you can see. So it's not that small, in fact. And other steady performers that you see in this league table are indeed Turkey and also Germany can be found in all three of the league tables. Now I wanted to show you this because it illustrates a bit indeed how strong the market has been over the past 2 years. Over the years before that, projects started on speculation, so that means on builder account and then sold to the client, where about an even share with projects started for the client. And then from the start of 2021, the number of projects started for the client really went up a lot, while the speculation projects remained stable, went down even a little bit. The reason for this, we believe, is that many of the popular yacht models that are built by, for example, the large builders in Italy, but also in Taiwan, UK, other places, they've been building up a backlog. And now if you buy one of those yachts, you might have to wait for some years to take delivery, which means also that the project is not yet started the moment you buy it. So it's no longer started on speculation, but for you, for the client. So you end up in the red line instead of the blue line. So that is why that has been going up a lot, and it shows you how strong demand has been for super yachts. And this is a graph which illustrates the concentration of the super yacht building industry over the past 15 years. If we look at 2008, we had 120 different shipyards completing 260 super yachts. Fast forward 15 years later and we have just half of those yards, 60, completing 160 yachts. So there are far less yards active than there were, but on average their output is more. And in fact, if you take all the data from the past 5 years, so 2018 up to and including 2022, over 70% of the yachts were built by the 25 biggest shipyards. And then after that you have a long tail of shipyards which build less than 5 or often even only 1 yacht during that 5-year period. And if we look at what is coming ahead at the construction book, there we see that the concentration is also quite strong, with an average of 4.2 yachts in build at each shipyard. And what is also interesting to note is that the blue line, the number of shipyards, it has stabilized and it's slightly going up a bit, and I think it will go up a bit further because due to heavy demand there have been some new players entering the market, or maybe old names revived, and the growth is particularly coming from Turkey and from Italy, as there is still scope to expand. Now moving on to the markets, I wanted to show you what is happening with the availability of super yachts in build. Now just 2 years ago, over a third of the yachts in build were available for purchase. So they were either started on speculation or offered for sale by the owner who commissioned them. Now at the beginning of this year, that share was only a fifth. So you have far less inbuilt yachts to choose from if you want to buy something that is still being completed. So the market is tightening, and if you look at the graph on the right, you can see that close to half of what is offered for sale under construction is between 30 and 40 meters, which makes sense. That is a customary segment where a lot of projects are started on speculation. And between 40 and 50, you also still have a fairly large share of yachts started on speculation. As you move on to larger segments, the share gets less, as they are more specific and you have more custom projects that are full custom. But of course, new yachts, that's all very interesting, but what is happening with the market for used yachts? Now, I know the industry often uses the term brokerage market for this. We divide that really in new and used yachts. So new is anything not completed yet, and used is everything that is already in operation and then being offered for sale. Now, 2 years ago, a quarter of the yachts operating were being offered for sale. But fast forward 2 years later, it's just 17%. And if you look at the absolute numbers, it has also gone down a lot. Now, not all of this is because of yachts sold. What also happened is that quite some owners withdrew their yacht from sale, so they decided to take it off sale to keep it another season or maybe another year. And some of that is also caused by owners not being able to find a suitable replacement yacht for their existing yacht in the used yacht market, which is again a sign of sort of a lack of availability of attractive yachts, if you will. And again here, the largest segment for sale is between 30 and 40 meters, as that has a similar kind of share in total in the operating fleet. So that's the biggest there. Here we have some numbers to just show you sort of the market performance in terms of numbers of yachts sold. Now, for a number of years, from 2014 up till about 2019, 2020, it was fairly stable. Then during 2020, sales for used yachts went down, but we already saw, new yachts went down, but used yachts already went up. And I think the explanation for that is, as we came out of the first COVID lockdowns, people wanted to take to the oceans quickly. And that goes a lot faster, of course, with a yacht which is already operating, a used yacht. So that market picked up a bit earlier than the market for new yachts. Then we saw an enormous peak in 2021 with over 300 new yachts sold and over 500 used yachts sold. But as you can see, 2022 was still rather strong. From the back of my head, it was 226 new yachts sold and over 300 used yachts sold still. And historically, it's also a very good number. It's in our top 5 since 2006. So 2022 was overall still a very good year, and probably also better than we expected in terms of sort of economic uncertainty, the whole situation around Russia. It was still rather good. In our team, our intelligence team, we also put a lot of emphasis on pinpointing transactions, like what date did it happen, or what month, or at least which quarter, which allows us to also examine the market on a more detailed basis and see if we can find any patterns. Now, what you can see in this graph is that the red line, it correlates in kind of an opposite way with the black line. So the red line is new listings, so yachts being offered for sale, newly offered for sale. And the black line is used yacht sales. And what you can see is that, for example, in the second quarter, a lot of yachts are sold and the availability goes down. Now, of course, part of that is because yachts are sold, they're not available anymore, but also yachts are being taken off the market as the owner decides to keep it for the summer. And then in the third quarter, sales go down because a lot of people are on their holidays, while new listings go up as owners prepare to get their yacht on the brokerage market, the sales market, ahead of the big yacht show season in September, October, November. And the blue line, price changes, the number of price changes that is, that's a bit harder to say specifically how it correlates. The ones where it does seem to move in unison with used yacht sales, that might be a coincidence still. That's something we need to dig in a bit further. And I kept this one for last, as I think it will interest a lot of people. What is happening with the ownership of yachts? And we're looking here at 40 meter plus, and that's around 2,000 yachts in total, 2,000 plus operating. And I think the biggest change in this graph compared to the one from a year ago has been Russia. Russia was at 9.1% of the operating yachts over 40 meters a year ago, and now it's at 8.1, so a full percentage point lower. Now you might be tempted to think, because of all the media reports, that that is all because of confiscations, arrests, etc. But in fact, it's only a very tiny number of Russian yachts that went away from Russian ownership in that matter. I think a lot of that was actually also Russian new builds destined for Russians, which were not, in the end, not delivered to Russians because they couldn't take delivery, and they went to other nationalities. Some yachts also got sold discreetly off market. And there's also a very limited number of owners, but with very large yachts, who renounced their Russian nationality and took on whatever second nationality they have. So they're now counted under another country. And where did it grow the most? Well, that's the country sitting on the left there, the United States, which went from 23% to 23.6%. It's really even more than before. The US market is the main driver of yacht sales, both new and used. And the other country I would like to single out is Greece, which is moving from strength to strength and is now at over 6% ownership. Greek owners have always been very market savvy owners, sharp negotiators, and know what they want. And that is still very much the case, and it is interesting to see that they are now also moving more and more into new yachts. So they are definitely on the up. And then just briefly looking at who has the largest yachts, Saudi Arabia is clearly at the front with an average of 68 meters, while the United Arab Emirates and Russia share a joint second position with 62 meters on average. Well, that is basically all I had time for to show you now from our report.
Yes.
Did you get any questions, Emma?
Yes, thank you so much, Ralph, for that really insightful presentation. And we have some great questions from you all. The first question is, what do you expect for the charter market?
Well, it's interesting that you should say that. I did ask around a bit about the charter market also last week in Palm Beach. The expectation was a bit that it will still be quite a strong year, maybe not as super strong as last year, but a lot of the bookings are likely to still come in during the next quarter as people get ready for the summer. Another interesting observation I heard was that a lot of the clients who bought their first ever yacht during COVID-19, that they are now looking for the first time at entering their yacht into the charter market. And they need a lot of guidance from industry professionals in the charter management sector to make sure that goes smoothly, because it is of course their first time, and we need to make sure that they're all happy with it and become and remain happy owners. So I think we will still have a fairly strong season, yes.
Wonderful. The second question is, how is the sailing yacht market? Is there a growing or shrinking number of sailing yachts in build?
Well, as I actually showed in one of the first slides, maybe I can just quickly bring it up. Here, in the construction book, we see actually a slight growth in the number of sailing yachts under construction. We're now at 49 at the start of this year. So there seems to be something of a recovery. It's still not super high, it is quite specialist, but there are some very encouraging things happening in the sailing yacht market. First and foremost, of course, the Italian Sea Group, the giant Italian shipyard, they bought the Perini Navi brand and revived it, and they have new models, and it has solid backing now, so that is really encouraging. Also, Ferretti of course has put his force behind the famous Wally brand. Southern Wind is doing well. Same for Swan, Baltic Yachts. So yeah, it is niche, but I'm happy to see that there is something of a recovery there. And then in fact, it seems if you look at the market for used sailing yachts, that's doing actually better even than new builds. So that's always a good sign that maybe good news might be further ahead for sailing yachts. So yes, it remains a bit smaller, well definitely a lot smaller than the motor yacht market. But yeah, there are some encouraging signs, and of course it's has far more eco credentials than motor yachts, or more easily anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm moderately positive at the moment for sailing yacht market. Yeah.
Lovely. And we just had an interesting one. How will advancements in technology such as artificial intelligence impact the design and functionality of super yachts in the future?
Ooh, that is really quite a technical one.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much I can exactly say about that, as I'm a mere economist. But I mean, it will definitely. What I could imagine is that it will simplify the engineering design process. That you will be able, and this is just from my limited understanding of the matter, you will be able to render things more easily for your clients, maybe customize more easily. I think it could actually, there's a lot of talk about AI at the moment, as it's potentially damaging for some creatives. But I think it could also enhance and make maybe even more outlandish concepts become a reality and make a sort of going to the next step. So I think it will kind of make some design processes quicker. But again, I'd love to hear sort of the opinion of the actual experts on this, as I'm a simple economist and I do Excel sheets and numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very true.
But I think it could be interesting. Yeah.
Very interesting. What do you expect for the refit market?
I think in general, the basis there is the super yacht fleet is growing by around 150, 160 new yachts per year. There's only very few disappearing from the fleet. So the fleet is constantly growing. And all these yachts need attention. The larger ones are all in class as well, within the class society, so they have to go through a regime of inspections. So they all need surveys. They have the annual, they have the intermediate so the annual each year, intermediate after 2-3 years, and the big one, the special survey, every 5 years, which is a very intensive and costly job. So that's the basis. Also, what might be happening is, because there's the number of available used yachts in the market is getting lower and lower, owners might have to buy something which is not immediately completely there where they want it, so they will want to refit it to make it suit their purposes. So, and I mean, generally refit yachts, from when I speak to them, we have quite a few of them as clients as well on our IQ system. They have more like too much demand than too little. And there's still new infrastructure being added in terms of yards, ship lifts, travel lifts, etc. each year. So yeah, I think it will still be going quite strong actually. Certainly now that we're out of the whole COVID drama.
Yeah.
So yes, yeah, for sure.
Along those lines, you might have just answered this really, but as somebody else has just asked, do you have any interesting predictions for the refit market?
Ooh. I cannot put a specific number to that right now, to be honest. It's a very hard market to track. I will be honest also for my team, because not everything is shared, not everything can be shared by the refit shipyards. They're also bound to certain contractual obligations. We still do a lot of it by looking at ship tracking websites, looking at social media. Of course, we have some friendly shipyards who help us out, but again, they are not always in that position. So while we do a very extensive coverage of refits, I'm sure we also always miss a few. So I find it difficult to put a specific number on it. We have some data in the report, and the last few years I saw an average around 1,450, 1,500 over 30 meters. Well, probably there's even more. Yeah. And that's about the best I can say about it. And if you really want to dig into it, send me an email and we could talk about it and we could do something for you.
Perfect. This is one that we all want to know. What's the average cost of yachts? The lowest cost, highest cost? Is there an average?
This is a classic one, and it depends so much on the size of the yacht, the age of the yacht. Is it brand new, or is it an older one that needs to be refurbished? Yeah, I think sort of simplest answer would be sort of around 30 meters, a bit depending on what you buy. I think you're sort of in the lower double-digit millions, so 10, 11, 12, 13. Then as you go toward 50, again, depending a bit on what you specifically need, but you're going more to the 30, 40 range. And the very large projects from Northern Europe, they can run into the hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, sometimes you still read the classic a million per meter. Please forget that. It's much more about the internal volume of the yacht, because that is where the cost is, how many acres, and yeah, that's a cliche, but acres of marble, like acres of interior space do you need to decorate, these kind of things. It's more kind of almost exponential, I would say. It's certainly not linear.
Interesting. This is quite a good one. How can I get the most actual market data at any time, besides the State of Yachting and other market reports?
Yeah, you need to buy IQ, of course. You need to get SYT IQ.
Yes.
Then you can look at it any minute you want, and you can even get the mobile app on your phone. You can walk around the yacht show and just pull up any yacht that you're interested in and see if it's for sale, what the price is, who last refitted it, who owns it maybe, if we can share it. So yeah, as an industry professional, if you don't have it yet, you should get it. Absolutely.
For sure. Well, that's all of your questions answered for today and all we have time for. Please do download the State of Yachting 2023 for free, just here in the description box, but also, of course, on superyachttimes.com. Thank you, Ralph.
Thank you, Emma.
And we hope to see you again soon.